Platform society is one where digital platforms are not just tools or marketplaces, but powerful infrastructures that organize large parts of social, cultural, economic, and political life. The rise of companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, TikTok, and Uber has created new forms of intermediation and control driven by algorithms, data, and network effects. These platforms govern access to information, shape public discourse, and influence labor markets, education, healthcare, and more. In this video, we look at 10 key concepts that help explain how the platform society operates and why it matters. Datafication is the foundational process through which human behavior, social interactions, and even emotional expressions are turned into quantifiable digital data. Every like, click, search, and swipe becomes a data point that platforms can extract, store, and analyze. For example, Spotify collects data on listening habits to curate personalized playlists, while Google Maps tracks user location to optimize traffic flows and ad targeting. Datafication allows platforms to generate new forms of value, but it also introduces new risks. Personal information can be misused, profiling can reinforce biases, and constant monitoring can erode autonomy. The line between public and private becomes blurred when everything is potentially collectible and monetizable. Algorithmic governance refers to the way platforms use automated systems to organize user experiences and enforce rules. Algorithms decide what news appears on a user's feed, which videos are recommended, and which posts are flagged or removed. On platforms like Instagram or TikTok, success is often determined not by user preference alone, but by how well content aligns with algorithmic priorities, such as engagement or watch time. These systems are largely invisible and not open to scrutiny, yet they have major consequences for visibility, reputation, and democratic participation. Content creators, for instance, may change their behavior to please the algorithm, while political content can be amplified or buried without clear explanation. Platformization captures how the logic of platforms expands into new areas of life and reorganizes them. In journalism, platforms like Facebook and Google control the distribution of news, pushing traditional media to optimize for clicks and shares. In education, tools like Zoom, Google Classroom, and Edmodo have made learning reliant on platform-based tools. In healthcare, telemedicine services and health tracking apps gather sensitive data while shaping how services are delivered. This process often leads to the reshaping of industries around metrics like engagement, growth, and scale, with little room for slower, deliberative, or more equitable practices. Monopoly power highlights the extraordinary concentration of economic and infrastructural control in the hands of a few platform companies. Google dominates global search and online advertising. Amazon controls large portions of e-commerce and cloud computing. Apple's App Store acts as a gatekeeper for mobile software distribution. These companies benefit from network effects, where more users attract more developers and data, which in turn improve the platform, attracting even more users. The result is a winner-takes-all dynamic that discourages competition and innovation. Attempts to challenge these firms often fail due to the high costs of switching, the lack of alternatives, or legal barriers reinforced by lobbying and strategic acquisitions. Labor reconfiguration refers to the transformation of work under platform conditions. Gig economy platforms such as Uber, TaskRabbit, or DoorDash allow people to offer services without being classified as employees. This model shifts risks to workers while providing flexibility and convenience to consumers. Workers are often managed algorithmically, rated by customers, and subjected to unpredictable income. Beyond gig work, influencers on platforms like YouTube or OnlyFans turn self-branding into a form of labor, often blurring the line between personal life and work. Platforms benefit from this by offloading responsibility while profiting from user-generated value. This reconfiguration also impacts labor organizing, benefits access, and legal protection. Surveillance capitalism describes the economic logic where platforms extract personal data to sell predictions about user behavior to advertisers and third parties. This model is not just about targeted advertising, but about shaping behavior itself. For instance, Facebook's ability to target ads based on emotional states or Google's personalization of search results reflects an economy that trades on behavioral surplus. The user is not just a customer, but the product. Surveillance capitalism has been criticized for manipulating preferences, narrowing choices, and undermining democratic deliberation. Consent is often superficial, buried in long terms of service, while the consequences of data extraction remain hidden from users. Platform governance points to the rules, policies, and enforcement mechanisms through which platforms control behavior. These include content moderation policies, community guidelines, algorithmic filtering, and enforcement through account suspensions or shadow banning. For example, YouTube demonetizes videos that violate its rules on hate speech or misinformation, while Twitter has systems for flagging or removing abusive content. Platforms act as regulators, but are not democratic institutions. Their policies can be inconsistent, reactive, or politically motivated. Civil society and regulators have called for greater transparency and accountability, but global enforcement and the protection of rights remain highly uneven. Digital infrastructures are the material and technical systems that platforms rely on to function. These include cloud computing services, server farms, content delivery networks, and app marketplaces. Amazon Web Services hosts not just Amazon's own services, but also competitors and public institutions. Google's Android operating system underlies most of the world's smartphones, giving it deep infrastructural control. When infrastructure is owned by profit-driven platforms, public access, neutrality, and resilience can be compromised. Outages or policy changes can have ripple effects across dependent services. Digital infrastructures often remain invisible until they fail or are contested, making their power hard to challenge. Platform publics are new forms of collective expression and identity that emerge around shared content, hashtags, or events on platforms. These publics can form quickly and disappear just as fast. Examples include hashtag movements like Me Too or Black Lives Matter, or communities that form around fan culture or viral memes. While these publics can amplify marginalized voices and coordinate collective action, they can also become echo chambers or targets of manipulation. Bots, trolls, and algorithmic amplification can distort participation and hijack discourse. Unlike traditional public spheres, platform publics are shaped by design choices, content ranking, and terms of use set by private companies. Platform justice is a normative concept calling for fairness, equity, and accountability in how platforms operate. It asks who benefits from platforms, who is excluded, and how harms are addressed. For example, marginalized communities often face disproportionate content moderation, algorithmic bias, or digital exclusion. Calls for platform justice include demands for data protection, algorithmic transparency, labor rights, and democratic input in governance. Some advocate for alternative models, such as platform cooperatives or publicly owned platforms that prioritize collective needs over profit. Platform justice also involves questioning the global reach of US-based firms and ensuring that non-Western voices and norms are respected in digital governance. In conclusion, the platform society is not a temporary phase, but a new organizing logic of the digital era. Platforms influence how people relate to each other, how economies function, and how power is distributed. These 10 concepts offer a starting point for understanding both the promise and the peril of life organized through platforms. As their influence continues to grow, ongoing critical engagement is needed to ensure that platform systems serve broad societal interests rather than narrow corporate goals. Stay tuned for more insights into business and the social sciences. If you found this overview helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on future topics you'd like us to cover. I'm Dr. Dag, wishing you a fantastic day ahead.